Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm Risdiyanti. I'm from BB3. Now I want to explain the material about performance assessment for English language learner. Okay, in this video, I will discuss the limitation with the current standard assessment test used for English language learner or ELLL and share information on how performance appraisal can be used efficiently to produce a better understanding of the student content of knowledge and then to improve their academic performance. The problem and limitation of the performance appraisal approach for English language learner students are discussed, along with ways making this assessment more accessible to English language learner students. Performance appraisal for English language traditional standards. Perform test results are used for higher education in assessment and accountability system across the United States. Often develop and field tests for the general student population, this assessment might not be sensitive enough to the needs of some subgroup of students, such as English language learner (ELL), who are faced with the challenging academic careers. Research clearly shows the sum of the variables are not associated with measured focus construct. And then, for example, a necessary linguistic complexity culture based in idiom construction can influence the quality of high-rise assessment for these students. Therefore, the result of this assessment might not be reliable and valid, and they might not produce sufficient evidence to make important decisions about students' academic career. Um, and then performance appraisal can help fill this gap as they not only engage the student and give them the opportunity to demonstrate their knowledge but also reveal more in-depth information about students' academic needs. Performance appraisal can be less affected by unnecessary linguistic complexity for two reasons. The first, language is often not the only medium for presentation assessment tests. For example, in a science, in a hands-on performance test, students are given a set of physical material or pencil and salt and fresh water. And then the second, students have access to this physical material as they formulate assessment response that reduce reliance on language. In science, students can experience direct object manipulation and use the familiarity as they formulate written or oral response. Performance appraisal thus reduce the linguistic complexity of when tests are presented and when responses are responded. Okay. Next is about performance assessment and English learner Bas Major and Golosser 2002. Observed that performance appraisal allows all students, especially those with different language background, to engage in cognitively complex activities such as generating strategies, monitoring work, analyzing information, and applying reason skills. Okay, next is why performance appraisal for English students? Because limitation of standard assessment for ELL or English Language Learner standard performance tests are usually used for assessment and accountability purposes because they have established activity, reliability, and validity, as well as administrative ease and cost efficiency in assessment. They can also refer more consequently to content standard and much more easily variable representation of content than many current classroom size. Research points to many limitations in the achievement tasks used for student assessment and accountability purpose. Okay, next is improving the quality of teaching for English students through performance assessment. Performance appraisal makes a major contribution to the academic career of students, especially those with challenges academic lives. Which challenges academic lives by informing instruction and supporting higher quality teaching and learning. They believe that much of the impetus for performance appraisal for performance is that they should reflect the teaching and learning process and then and provide a better measure of accountability. The author report on teacher attitudes and practice towards states mandated performance appraisal in 5 states to align instruction with country performance appraisals and then the support the uses of this type of mandatory assessment to improve teaching. Okay. Next is about performance appraisal approach in testing student content knowledge in English. English language learner student knowledge of English is assessment for 1 is determine their level of English proficiency as required by NCLB Title 3. And then the second is measure their literacy level in English as required by the NCLB Title 1. But measures influence a student's English language learner academic career. We selected assessment of English proficiency Title 3 to describe the application of a performance appraisal produced to assess English competency for English language learner students. The outcome of this assessment is the most important because it determines the English language learner status of the student and can influence teaching. And then NCLB Title 3 requires an English language learning assessment of student level of English proficiency in the 4 reading, writing, listening, and speaking domains. Assessment should be based on concept of academic English and aligned with standards that English proficiency and the contents. Okay, next is about performance appraisal. For example, illustration. This section present 2 examples of performance appraisal that have been conducted, developed by uneducated with experience in teaching and assessment. They describe the format of and use of performance assessment for EAL students. The example focus on the application of performance appraisal to reading and writing. And the second is how to apply the performance appraisal approach to social studies. The former is of particular relevance as language assessment is one of the most important aspects of an English language learner student's academic career. Next is how performance appraisal can be done English applies to English language learner. Since assessment language is one of the most influential factor influencing assessment result for English language learner students, we describe the impact of the factor and our recommendation on how to improve the quality of assessment performance with results that are more linguistically accessible. As has been noted, ELL students and students with disabilities sometimes perform better than those on multiple choice tests. This was the case in the New Jersey Special Review Assessment award to students who filed the public high school graduation exam. This English Performance tag examines the same standard and concept as the item on a multiple choice test but provides to be more accessible to this population of students. Next is about assessment of exemplary performance appraisal tests. Performance appraisal tests, no matter how well written, might not produce the desired result if they are not assessed properly for ELL students from diverse language and cultural backgrounds. Appropriate grading for performance appraisal tests is especially important for English language learner students, as correct response in content-based areas such as math and science might be masked by potential difficulties in grammar and spelling. Among the components involved the performance appraisal are one. There are three. The first is grade scoring rubric. Second is training scores, and then the last is build adequate intercareer reliability. Primary attention is required in all three areas to ensure reliable and valid performance appraisal. Okay, the last is about summary and discussion. The result of this assessment have a big influence on the academic career of English learner because they can affect student classification, promotion, and graduation. The results of this assessment are also used for accountability purpose, which can affect academic performance. Unfortunately, the research identified a major problem with traditional statewide assessment for these students. Linguistic complexity and cultural bias can influence assessment outcomes. Therefore, current assessment might not be valid measure of what students know and can do. Okay, I think that's all my explanation. And then sorry for every mistake and thank you for your attention. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.